came out, and Lawrence is grabbing at his leg.
When the leg, let's take a look. Oh, right there.
That is the left tackle, Walker Little, who stepped back on the inside of the ankle of Trevor Lawrence. Right there. And then was bent backward.
Well, that's not good for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But it might be good for the Houston Texans. That was Trevor Lawrence spraining an ankle in Monday Night Football last night. What's up, people? It is the Paul Gallant Show on this Tuesday, December 5th of 2023, the most interactive sports talk show in town. On today's show, we'll talk about why this Sunday's game against the New York Jets for the Texans could be getting a little easier thanks to drama in the Big Apple. The Astros are not trading Alex Bregman, but we got some questions about what they're going to do this offseason after hearing from Dana Brown yesterday. DJ Bieneme also will be joining me later in the 10 o'clock hour. I want to begin, though, talking about last night's Monday Night Football game, a game I didn't think I was going to have to watch because there's no Joe Burrow for the Cincinnati Bengals. But Jake Browning had the game of his life against that Jaguars defense. I think a lot of Washington fans are probably wondering where the hell was that all those years ago in the college football playoff for the Huskies. They win 34-31 in overtime on an Evan McPherson field goal. And in that game, too, Trevor Lawrence gets hurt. And it sucks for Trevor Lawrence. We would never wish for injury on anyone. We don't do that. We're not that dark on this show. We're not that much a gang of D-bags and just, well, dicks. That's not us. But if it makes things a little easier for your team, you're allowed to do a silent, underhand fist pump for your team having an easier, time potentially winning the AFC South, making the playoffs. Just has to be under the table because, again, we would never wish injury on anybody. But if the Jaguars are worse, it's good for the Texans. So maybe, just maybe, the AFC South window has reopened a tad. And spare me we want to beat the Jaguars at their best. You didn't this past Sunday that you played them. You didn't. So take whatever edge you can get. I got no issue with it. I think it's weird that some people are like, yeah, I want to go up against the opposition at their best. Don't you want to win? I would rather them, be dealing with something. What is the extent of this Trevor Lawrence injury? Right now, up in the air, Doug Peterson was pretty guarded when asked about it, head coach of the Jaguars, in the post-game press conference. Here is what Scott Van Pelt had to say about it, courtesy a report by Adam Schefter right after the game was done.
We are able to bring you Adam Schefter. Shared with me just a moment ago that initial tests showed that Trevor Lawrence sprained his ankle per a source to Schefter. Scheduled to undergo additional testing to determine the extent of the injury and how much time he will miss. But given the reaction and the awkward way in which he came down, it seems to be a whole lot better than perhaps that reaction might have indicated. A sprained ankle with additional tests to determine the extent and just how much time he might miss.
It did look bad for Jaguars fans. Hearing what Scott Van Pelt said right there does make you feel a little bit better, especially when you remember that Patrick Mahomes was dealing with some sort of ankle injury, get this, starting in that playoff game against the Jacksonville Jaguars down the stretch. Did not seem to affect him, especially in the Super Bowl. So we're going to learn, I think, a lot about Trevor Lawrence down the stretch, how he handles this injury. The Jaguars' remaining schedule at the Browns this coming Sunday. Good defense, offense. Oof. Joe Flacco time. The Ravens, a Sunday night football game. We'll see how that one goes. I'm not really sure what to make of the Ravens. At the Bucs, the Panthers, and at the Titans. The Texans' remaining schedule at the Jets with some uncertainty about who's going to be under center for New York this Sunday. At the Titans, the Browns, the Titans, at the Colts, who just beat Tennessee in a close game yesterday to give them the tiebreaker still in the AFC South over the Texans. Colts in second, Texans in third. So now you know Trevor Lawrence's latest status. And now we get to make fun of Jaguars fans. Listen, I guess I just hate all fan bases in Florida right now. Yesterday, I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed seeing Florida State fans miserable about getting left out of the college football playoff with an undefeated record. Totally justifiable outrage, but it was fun to see them mad. And it was fun to see some of the people who were getting so mad about the novel concept that C.J. Stroud is more talented than Trevor Lawrence. Not going to lie, I enjoy their misery. Am I a sick person? Yes. I mean, the happiest I've been watching football this year was seeing all the Jets fans upset online after Aaron Rodgers suffered that injury in week 1. So I am who I am. I'm going to be honest about it. And I like to see fans miserable, specifically now Jaguars fans who can join Titans fans in the penalty box. I have a question going forward, though. With this Lawrence injury and with yet another injury to a top-of-the-line quarterback, Joe Burrow's out for the year. Deshaun Watson's out for the year. Is Deshaun Watson still a top quarterback? That's up for debate. Aaron Rodgers out for the year. Lawrence getting hurt like this. We've seen a lot of bad quarterbacking this year. I am a little bit nervous about how the competition committee handles this in the offseason. I mean, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks that have played thus far. Is there a next step to the rule that was initially put in place to protect Tom Brady? You can't hit guys too low. You can't hit Patrick Mahomes whenever he scrambles, which we found out on Sunday. Like, there's a lot of difficult situations for you as a defender. And whenever these great quarterbacks get hurt, I feel like the NFL overreacts. I'm a little nervous that this latest injury is perhaps going to be part of a PowerPoint presentation, Sean Mapes, in the offseason by the competition committee. And I don't know if there's going to be someone from the Jaguars presenting it or another person, but this does not bode well for the NFL long term. Another moment like this. They love to protect and baby the quarterbacks. Hashtag defenders' lives matter.
So are they going to ban left tackles from stepping on their quarterback's ankle? Because that's what happened.
I think they might.
I don't know what you banned in the.
I think you might.
Well, I have bad news for you if you ban left tackles.
You might not be able to push offensive linemen anymore because you might push the offensive lineman into the quarterback. It's an important clarification by you there, Sean, but I mean, the rabbit hole goes deep. It goes very, very deep. And
are you kind of excited that if they make NFL football actually flag football, like everyone's uncle has been saying for 20 years, that then you will have a chance to play in the NFL because you're a flag football legend?
Sean, I would still play no pad tackle football like I did every single Saturday in college if I could. There's a little thing called, insurance that doesn't really cover that much of those injuries that I'd have to worry about. But
that sucks.
Sean, I played because I like hitting people. I mean, I like doing all the offensive skill player stuff, but I barely got to play offense until my last year playing. I like to hit people. I think there's a lot of people who enjoy watching the game because they like to see violence. What a surprise. I mean, why is there such a market for UFC, for boxing, for MMA? We still like violence. Maybe less of us do. Maybe some of those, lace curtain, granite marble top, libs, up in the Northeast, but like down here in God's country, we like violence. We like hunting, right? Like everyone looks at me and knows I'm a potential hunter someday. I've shot guns before. We like violence. Quarterback should not be immune from it. I mean, that hit on Russell Wilson, Russ got up. He was fine. He was fine. So I wonder, even with an offensive lineman injuring Trevor Lawrence, I wonder if there's another step. You can't bull rush offensive linemen anymore. You got to go around them. Because in flag football, Sean, guess what? You're not allowed to block people. You have to just stand there and hope that you impede their progress. They can't shove you. They have to run around you. But it's essentially like playing basketball. There's charging.
Setting picks.
Yeah, there's charging. And they will call the Draymond Green stuff. They'll call it the PJ Tucker stuff. They don't let you get away with it. It's a shame.
I also Joe Burrow also got hurt just like throwing the football. Like it's like that's what hurt his wrist. This is just like a weird year because like all these guys are just kind of like getting hurt. Like Aaron Rodgers just kind of his Achilles just kind of popped after the first time he got touched this year.
And he had been dealing with calf issues.
Now he will be back
in
in 2 weeks. So
that's true.
Yeah,
but not on Sunday against the Texans. Thankfully. No. You're right in that it's a weird year, but my fear is that they always overcorrect. In spite of very reasonable buts to most of the injuries we've seen this year.
If one of these was like a roughing type hit, like I'd be like, okay. Like the Bernard Pollard on Tom Brady, you can make the case as to why that should be illegal of just rolling into the quarterback as he's standing and throwing. Like I can see why that gets people hurt, but it's like I don't know, like it's like Kirk Cousins was just running and his Achilles popped. Like that, the same thing happened to Jalen Phillips.
Well,
like,
what if Kirk Cousins could have walked? What if quarterbacks are now allowed to walk fast? And basically,
walk,
you touch them.
Chris Paul commercial.
Yeah, so that way, I mean, listen, you get rid of slides. You get rid of giving yourself up. You could just turn it into like one touch, and if the person just stops, okay, it's done. You might laugh listening to this right now. Don't think it's completely off the table. A change like this in response to an injury that had nothing to do with the defender, because this is the NFL.
How did they do the Pro Bowl? Before it became literally flag football? I don't know, man. I remember it was
Remember when that punter got killed by Sean Taylor? Like the greatest moment in Pro Bowl history?
Yeah, I remember there's a lot of weird stuff where guys would kind of, like the offensive players would just basically like, once a defender got close, they would like stop their forward progress just immediately. Like they wouldn't try to actually break the tackle. They'd just be like, all right, you got me. But then sometimes, like they would just be like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna run through you. Like I'm just not gonna get tackled.
It's like that moment right there is like that game that goes viral every single year where it's mascots against small children.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. They had the corgi races on at NRG. I feel like corgi races and the mascot football game are like the two like. Every year the NFL team, whichever NFL team's like, all right, so we got the corgi races week 12, we got the mascot game on week 10. All right, now we only need 6 more home games to figure out what to do at halftime.
Should always be corgi races. Corgis are the derpiest, and they're very adorable dogs. It's a shame that they have been co-opted by the Crown of England as like the official dog of the British people. Makes sense because of, the way that British people generally look, which is, short and a little derpy in it. But hey, guess what? They're going to get the Jacksonville Jaguars at some point in the near future.